Homemade ice cream cake is what we're making today, and it will turn out like this. I'm going to take you through a step-by-step process to make it as easy as possible for you to make it on your own. So let's get started. So what we're going to start with, 6 bags of Werther's Original. And what you have to do is unwrap them all, put them in a bowl, and put them aside for the next step. Then we're going to take 2 cans of Blue Diamond Smokehouse almonds. We're going to put them in a blender, grinder. I even put them in, I didn't have a blender before, and I put them in a Ziploc bag and just smashed them up. So we're going to grind these up. Grind these up a fair amount, but don't make them into a dust. And after that, now we're on to making this into a beautiful caramel sauce. So let's do that now. So for the next step, you're going to need a double boiler. You can make one of these up. What I did in the past is use 2 pots and consistently watch it, but it's good to have like a double boiler. It's safer. So you add your water, put that on, put this on high so it gets boiling, and then we're going to take our Werther's, and I suggest when you peel these, put them directly in the pot, because if they go in the bowl and it's a little warm, they're very hard to get out. So put them in the pot that you're gonna steam them and to melt them. And then what you're gonna do is you're gonna add butter and heavy cream. So now what you're gonna do is you're gonna carefully wash this and stir it consistently until it's completely melted and mixed together. And after that's completed, we'll take it off the burner and let it stand to room temperature. So while the sauce is melting down, what you're going to do is you're going to take your Oreo baking crumbs, and you're going to mix in the Smokehouse almonds with it. We're going to make a crust. And then we're going to take butter. We're going to add butter to that. Mix this up good. So after you have this mixed up, you're going to take the pan that you're going to bake it in. You're going to pour that all in. And you're going to flatten it out on the bottom. Yep. So once you get the bottom flattened, you want it to come up the sides just a little bit. Now that that's done, you should have your oven preheated to 375, and we're going to bake this for about 15-20 minutes. So let's put this in the oven. Alright, so our caramel mixture is starting to heat up. Just going to take our time and roll that around. This will take a little while, just be patient. The double broiler makes it that it won't burn, so just leave that melt and then flip it every once in a while. So this has been going for about 10 minutes. I reduced the heat down so it isn't boiling so rapidly, but it's still steaming good. It's starting to melt, but it's going to take a bit longer. So the sauce has been going for close to a half an hour. It's done, and we can take it off and let it cool down to room temperature. Alright, so the crust has been in the oven for 20 minutes. It's ready to come out because it's all bonded together from the butter. We're going to let this cool down for, I don't know, probably 15-20 minutes, maybe half an hour. And then we're going to put it in the fridge until it cools completely down to the fridge temperature. Then we'll be able to put the ice cream on. So this has been cooling down for about 2 hours. For the last 15 minutes, I put it in the freezer to get it really nice and cold, because make sure that this isn't warm at all or your ice cream will melt. Then what we're going to do is we're putting all 3 of these in here. 2 of them I already have in. And we're going to stir it up until it gets a nice almond, like soft ice cream. And then we're going to spread it out over the bottom there. So you can see I have it like a soft ice cream consistency. So take your time, spread it out and get it as level as possible. That's pretty good. So now what I'm going to do is that's going in the freezer probably for 3 to 4 hours. I'm going to leave that set up and get it nice and hard, because the next step when we take it out is to put the caramel over it. The caramel will be at room temperature, and this will be nice and frozen so nothing will melt. So time to put it in the freezer. So this has been in the freezer for over 3 hours, very solid. I have my almonds and the caramel sauce I made. As the caramel sauce cools down, it's a good idea to stir it once in a while. So now what we're going to do is we're going to pour a layer of caramel sauce all over this, about a 1/4 of an inch. So that was self-level. So now what you're going to do is you're going to take your almonds and you're going to sprinkle a nice layer over it. Get it in the corners. So after you get that sprinkled over the caramel, just slightly push the almonds down into the caramel. So back in the freezer it goes for a couple hours, and then we'll add the chocolate ice cream. So next step, this is firmed up and in the freezer long enough. We're going to take the vanilla ice cream and put it in a bowl and do the same thing we did with the chocolate. I got one in. They weren't melted quite enough, so I just put them in the microwave for 20 seconds and it finished it off. So we have it into a soft ice cream consistency, and we're going to take spoonfuls of it and we're going to blob it on. What you want to be careful here is if you roll the ice cream up over, the nuts will stick, and then it looks a little messy because the nuts get up through. I like a nice just white top, so if that's what you want, just take your time and put dobs and then slowly spread it out. Okay, so I got the vanilla ice cream on, smoothed out. We're ready to go back in the freezer for a few hours before the next step, the toppings. So the ice cream cake is set up nice and frozen. We got almonds to sprinkle over and caramel to put on the top, and then it's done. So what I'm going to do is I take a Ziploc bag. Just because the caramel is messy, I find this easy for me. I fold it down over and I put the caramel in the bag. There's a bit of caramel in there. I'm going to put about half of it in, and the rest I'm going to save for putting over the top when I serve it. Take the bag, and squeeze the caramel down to the bottom corner, and take a pair of scissors and cut a very, very small hole. And then after you cut the hole, you're going to drizzle it over the top. After you have the caramel drizzled over it, you're going to take the smoked almonds and just sprinkle a nice coating over it. I'm going to just pat them down just a tiny little bit, just to them to set in there. There you have it, homemade ice cream cake. In the freezer for a couple hours, and then we're going to cut a piece and give it a try, see how it looks. So it's ready to cut, and it looks really good. So let's cut it. What I did was I left it in the freezer for about an hour and a half, and then I took it out and left it set for a few minutes to soften it up to make it easier to cut. The first piece is usually the hardest to get out, but that came out pretty good. So you got your Oreo baking crumbs, you got your chocolate ice cream, and then you have your caramel and almonds, vanilla ice cream, and then your toppings. Whipped cream, a few almonds over the top, some leftover caramel sauce I'm going to drizzle over it. Hope this looks as good on camera as it does here. Here you go. Let's try it. Mmm. So good. Too bad I couldn't let you try it. If you liked the video and you're still here, hit the subscribe, smash a like, and we'll do some more recipes. Have a good night.